that a little fast, Zach? You're the keeper of time.
Did you say Zach?
You said Zach.
I did.
What's that, Mark?
Tim?
Show 5.
Final two.
Okay, yeah, we're good to go.
All right. We'll, if you'd all please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. Welcome to Marion City Council meeting on this first day of June. I think it's the first, yes it is. Little reminder, we will have a public forum after we get done with the routine matters, and anyone that wishes to speak about any topic will be free to do so. In the meantime, if you have your cell phone or other electronic device, please silence it so we don't, I've already done it, so we don't interrupt the meeting. And if you do wish to speak, you need to come up to the table and speak into the microphone. Other than that, we're ready to start. I'll call the meeting to order. Note that 4 of the 5 members are present. Zach Collett, having resigned, of course, is not here. Everyone else is. With regard to the consent agenda, which includes approval of minutes of the May 18 meeting, approval of June 1st, 26 warrants, the amount of $47,841.24. Approval of payroll in the amount of $49,234.92. Includes the April 26th financial report. And we also have 2 fireworks licenses, one for NF Explosions and one for Wholesale Fireworks. And information with regard to both of those was contained in the packet. But if you have any questions about it, you're free to ask. So, would anyone like to pull any of those items out of the consent agenda for further discussion?
They do have a request to change the agenda itself whenever you're ready to do that.
I just rolled right past approval of the agenda.
Okay.
So let me back up to item 3, approval of the agenda. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, I have a request, for item number 10, the Historical Museum is unable to attend tonight, and then I erroneously omitted Anita Seacat. She wanted to be here tonight to talk about the food truck ordinance, so I'd asked to replace number 10 for her.
Okay.
And then also I would like to add a new number 12 and slide the other ones down. Chief Slater is coming with some information about FEMA employee ID cards, and given our recent storms, I think we need to attend to that tonight.
I move we approve the agenda as requested.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. I have a question. Are we keeping 11?
Yes, it's just the printed information in your bulletin.
Okay. And so we are then going to have 11A. Is that fine?
You know, if whatever, 11.5, whatever you want to call it, for Chief Slater.
Okay, we'll call it 11.5. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Ayes have it unanimously.
Thank you.
Back then to the consent agenda. Anyone wish to pull anything out?
Nope.
Okay,
I move we approve the consent agenda.
thank you. Second?
Second.
You said, oh,
Yep.
okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Ayes have it unanimously. That takes us to the public forum. Anyone wishing to address the council on any topic that you might wish may do so. You're limited to 5 minutes of time, and we would ask that you identify yourself and state your address when you begin. Anyone wish to address the council, come up to the table here in the middle of the room now. No one appears to wish to participate in the public forum, so we will move on then to that exciting Marion Financial Statement Audit. Christina, would you come over, please?
Good evening. Thank you for having me tonight. Tonight I have for you your audit of the 2025 financials, and I'd like to start as we usually do with the governance letter, which is that stapled document that you will find inside that bound document there. First several pages, as in the past, are all boilerplate language that we include with every one of these audits. Starting on page 4 at the bottom is where our recommendations are. And we kind of start with last year's recommendations on journal entry documentation. This is just one of those areas that, as a protection, that we like to see not just the journal entry that was done, but what triggered the journal entry. So what was seen, what piece of paper saw that need for that adjustment. So again, continue to recommend that.
Do you mind if we have questions, may we ask them? Will you want them to
Absolutely,
save
yes.
them or ask them now?
Yeah, absolutely. You can ask them at any time. Interrupt me all you want.
Okay, well, I'm pretty good at that. When you reference journal entry, coming from the legal community, a journal entry means something, I think, totally different than what you're calling a journal entry.
Sure.
Uh,
A
can you-
journal entry in my world is something that where you have like an adjustment, a correction. So let's say you post something to supplies and you meant to post it to repairs. You're going through your financials and you see that it's coded wrong. So you print that piece of paper that says, oh, so that's where I found my mistake. Now I make a journal entry to correct it, to move it from there. I print that piece of paper and those two things become your packet, if you will, that gets reviewed.
I actually talked with Janet about this a little bit today, and she said this is, I think somewhat by the nature of the way we have done this, this is not an uncommon recommendation.
Correct. You see this on multiple clients that we work on. It's almost an automatic recommendation that we have in a lot of ways.
So if we decided, and I'm not saying we're going to, but if we decided, by golly, next year they're not gonna have that in there again, what would we need to do in that situation?
If you're not going to have any journal entries?
If we're not going to have you saying we didn't do them well enough?
Okay, then when you just have if you have the supporting documentation when we test it, we will say that we don't have any further recommendations on it because we'll be able to see that it was there. So if you're saying that you're not gonna do the extra documentation, I don't know how we would get that off, right off.
Well, I guess what I'm looking for is be real specific, because I'm not real bright. What specifically what documentation would you want? You're not saying that Janet took something from here and put it in there and she shouldn't have done it, correct?
No.
Yeah.
She, nothing that we saw were inappropriate journal entries. It was just that needs one more piece of paper to go with it. Basically, the why behind it, what triggered the fact that there had to be that entry made.
Okay, another explanation.
Yeah, just a piece of paper. The explanation, it can be a memo, it can be a printout of a screen or a copy of a piece of paper that you saw that that triggered the entry.
Okay.
It can take a lot of different forms. And there's not any specific form. It's just getting that why.
Thank you.
Okay. Next page, top of page 5. So this is a recommendation that is also very common. So in an end of the year wrap up, you have any number of adjustments and entries. So it can be cleaning up voided checks, it could be making transfers, it could be recording encumbrances. I mean, there's just a lot of things that happen. And sometimes if the bank reconciliation is done too early, then the outstanding list doesn't capture all of that additional activity. So that's what happened this year. The bank rec was finalized just a little bit early, and so there were some additional transactions, all valid transactions. We were able to figure out exactly what it was, but we just were recommending that she waits to finalize that, in particular at the end of the year, until all the transactions are done. It'll make life a lot easier for those of us tying out those bank recs. And then the last one that we have, this is more of just a best practice recommendation. You guys have quite a bit of money that is sitting in CDs and whatnot. There is a lot of opportunity right now, not just CDs, but money market, the Kansas Municipal Investment Pool, a lot of these other places that can get you anywhere from 3.5% to 4% interest income on those idle balances, which can translate to a lot of money if it stays consistent throughout the year. So this is a recommendation to look into that a little bit to increase some of that cash flow for you. Any questions on any of that?
Brian, this is something that we have not discussed. This has been touched on a little bit in the past before you got here. Probably something we ought to talk about.
Absolutely.
In going forward.
Yeah, no problem.
And one thing I was gonna point out is the fact that it is, and the same thing last year, we said that money's in a checking account, but the fact is that the checking account is actually earning interest. It's just that it could earn
A lot more. Most of the checking accounts earn somewhere between 1/4 to 0.5%. I mean, they're generally not high interest earning. Even the money market accounts don't always earn as much interest as some of these other investment possibilities. So, like I said, it doesn't have to be CDs. There are just other opportunities out there to earn a little bit more. Okay, all right. Financial statements then. So a couple pages in, we have on our letterhead, the third paragraph there from the top. It's an unmodified opinion, so basically, is it not working?
Just turn the mic a little bit.
Is that better?
Better.
Okay, so.
What page are you on?
Sorry, I'm on page 1. It's our letterhead page, so it's a couple pages after that table of contents. So the third paragraph there is an unmodified opinion. So once again, it's a clean opinion. We feel like these numbers are fairly represented at the end of the year in all material respects. We have the next several pages, again, are just boilerplate language that talk about various responsibilities of management, of us, and that kind of thing. It goes with every one of these audit reports as well. Page 4 is, yes, sir, go for it.
I really am. I'm about done here, but most of this, my questions are just to make sure that anyone who would read this, that is like me, would understand what it's saying. The first couple of pages kind of sound like there are all these established policies and ways of doing accounting, and we're not using those.
Correct. So in the world of accounting, there's what we call GAAP basis financials, which is full accruals. So you put in your receivables, your payables, the pensions, the debt, all these things on a traditional balance sheet, but you waive GAAP. And so you follow what's called the Kansas Audit and Accounting Guide. So it's regulatory basis, basically cash in, cash out with accounts payable, encumbrances factored in. And so because of that, we're supposed to audit first under GAAP, and so we have to give our opinion under GAAP, which you're not following. So that's what those first 2 paragraphs are talking about, is you basically waived GAAP, and so we're not following GAAP. But you did follow this regulatory basis in that 3rd paragraph, and that's what that's giving the opinion on.
I just wanted to kind of make the record on that there are various ways to skin a cat, so to speak, and
That's
we're
right.
not using, we're stating in here, we're not using this way, we're using this other way.
Yes.
And we're not the, as you may or may not know, Marion has a rather unique form of government that we chartered out of a bunch of stuff, and so we're different. Whether it's a good way or not, I
Sure.
can't say.
Yep, it's fine.
We're not doing that here. The way we're doing it is the way many places
It is the way, I would say, probably about 75–80% of governments in Kansas do. The ones that follow GAAP are the really big ones that have complicated debt, and they're, they just have a lot more going on. It makes 0 sense for you to follow GAAP. Your audit would suddenly go from where we pay now to something around 50, 60,000, and that makes 0 sense for a city of your size to be doing.
Thank you. I
Yes.
am, I think, done. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Any other questions? Okay. Statement 1 is on page 4. So this is your high-level overview of all of your financial accounts and funds. The key that we usually look in this particular report is that 3rd from the right. It's that ending unencumbered cash balance. You want all of those to be zeros or positives to indicate compliance with cash basis law, and in all cases they were. Overall, you did have a decrease in cash balances. Some of this, majority of this stemmed within the utilities fund. When I looked through the utilities fund, there were some expenses, but it was still all really within the budget. The big change that you have from prior years that you'll see in there is the transfer that was budgeted to go to the general fund. And again, that I think was a strategy that was used to help with the mill levies to keep that even or lowered. I can't remember which way it went. But that was what was utilized with that, so it did reduce some cash within the utilities fund in order to keep the general fund at that stable level. Questions on that? Okay. Note disclosures, a lot of information in here. Some key things on page 7, note 5 are those transfers. So you can see which fund transferred the money and which fund it went to. Again, all of them were budgeted, and in fact, the general fund did not even utilize that 250,000 did not utilize the full 490, so that you didn't drain your utilities funds all the way. Page 8 has your long-term debt and the various years that are left to pay on it. Page 11 is your Schedule 1. So this is going to be your budget to actual, and the key to this statement is looking at that last column. You want them all to be zeros or negatives, and in all cases they were, so you were in compliance with your budgetary laws as well. The rest of the book is individual fund presentations. Again, I'm not going to go through each one of these, and we could be here a little while, but if there are any questions that you have specifically that you would like to look at or discuss, I'm more than happy to do so.
No, I'm not
Gonna
gonna.
go?
No.
Okay.
It's good, thank you. Anyone? No?
Well, that is all I have for you tonight, unless you have questions.
You came last year too, right?
Scott came last year. I came 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yes, sir.
Was that when you had to leave for the bad storm? Don't you live in Hutchinson or somewhere around?
Yeah, I live in Hutchinson, that's correct.
Okay. I guess just give me the simple, in your perspective, is this a good audit?
Yes, I think it's a very good audit. The only word of caution I would have is as you enter into this upcoming budget season, just keep an eye on those cash balances and what you're doing to make sure that if you're projecting the right revenues and expenditures, watching your fees in your utility funds to make sure that they are able to continue to support the level of expenditures that are needed. But other than that, I think it was a strong audit. You still have strong cash position. Nothing that I felt like was anything that was a huge red flag or anything along those lines.
Anything from Brian? Do you have any? I mean, you can call during the day anytime. I get that.
No, we're good. If you're good, I'm good.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Well, as always, if you guys need anything or if you have questions during your budget season, please let us know. We'll be glad to help. I appreciate it. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you. Department reports. Stephen, anything you would like to, you want to grab that, Stephen? Mike? I said that like a grandma.
Yeah.
All I have is we did receive our bucket truck last Tuesday, so we're working on getting it stocked up and ready to be in use. And getting the other 2 trucks cleaned out so we can get those on purple wave.
Nothing necessarily new with the police department. I just wanted to clarify a few things. I know that there were community members that had questions yesterday. I got multiple phone calls. So with the storm that came through yesterday, we were advised very last minute by emergency management that we needed to sound the sirens and for Marion to take shelter. So the reason we did that was due to what the emergency management had seen and trained storm spotters. I know a bunch of people were asking, the National Weather Service wasn't showing anything, so why is there something out there? Well, unfortunately, the National Weather Service, I'm not going to say missed it because they're a lot more intelligent than I am when it comes to storms, but it wasn't necessarily on their radar and people watching the storm system in Marion County noticed the issue with the storm. So that's why we sounded the sirens. In my opinion, I'd rather it be safe than sorry in a situation like that. So I just wanted to clarify that with you guys as to why the sirens went off, because some people were saying like we could see the moon and it's hardly raining and there's no wind. Well, that same system that came through about 30 miles down the road east of us did produce a tornado, and there was rotation over Marion. I guess heavy, significant rotation. Not sure what difference that makes from just rotation in general, but because of that is why we did what we did. So I just, like I said, I wanted to let you guys know, and then community members that are watching, let them know as well why we did what we did. There were also a few community members upset about the community building not being open in a timely manner. The reason for that is because everything happened so fast. We had no idea where the storm was or where the possible rotation was. All we knew that there was rotation around Marion, and my assistant chief that was working last night, his main priority was to get the sirens set off, and then he was busy driving up and down the streets with his sirens and lights on to try to notify people as well. The community building did end up getting open. It just wasn't right away, just because it was a little chaotic. There were other things that we were trying to get done to notify everybody else as well.
When you reference the community building, you mean this building, right?
Yeah,
Anything else?
that's it.
Brian, why don't we, Aaron brought it up. The two things that, like everybody else, I thought, seriously? Why is the siren going off? Because it's not storming or whatever. Well, I think if the county emergency management and local law enforcement both see something, I think that Kevin said it last night, or said it sometime as well, better safe than sorry, just like Aaron said. Makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
Then they went off in the middle and then started up again, which is kind of like a perfect storm, no pun intended, of weirdness. So I know you don't have an answer, but would you explain why they went off and then came back on?
I don't have an answer on why they went off yet. I'm thinking that there must be a timer on it, which I was unaware of. So I reached out to the vendor today and sent questions, which I have not gotten answers back to yet today. They did write early this morning and said that they saw through social media that we had used our sirens. They checked the system, said all 4 sirens of the new system were working. When I noticed they went off from home, I went ahead and reactivated it. Takes just a couple of seconds to get that code back in my phone, hit the activation key, and then it asks you, are you certain? Yeah, I wouldn't do it if I wasn't certain, but anyway, that was kind of the process. So we did set them off again. I did post to Facebook, social media. We shared the storm information that Marcy did through the county emergency management. They saw 7 tails, is what they called them. So I guess the beginning of a funnel cloud, and so that was, and it was kind of it was last second. I got a call, turn them on, so I did. I did not take the chance to necessarily come down here, not knowing where the storm was. Thought it might be better for people to shelter in place. I did see Dustin whiz by, going down in the street with sirens and lights on as we were trying to reactivate that siren. So I'll find out if it's on a timer, see if that's something that can be changed. I think if it's kind of an ongoing event, they ought to keep running, but I'm not an expert, but I'll become an expert. We'll find out, so.
I think Stephen wanted to say something about that.
Oh, I can't, okay, yes.
Yes, they are in a timer. They run for 4 minutes, and then if it's all clear, they'll go again for 2 minutes to let a minute at a time, and that's showing everyone that it's clear. So that's what he told me.
Okay, well, as we didn't have a box around us, which is what I learned in training, there should be a box on the app on my phone, and if the box encompasses all 4 sirens, then they will go off. If the box encompasses 1, only that one will go off. But we had no box last night, so I just hit it. So I will talk to them about the 4-minute thing. So that's why they restarted, because we were not out of danger. We had not received word So I restarted the signal. Now, and within that 4 minutes, we did get the call back, and we did cease to run the sirens.
I'm curious if any of the council members have an opinion on whether you sound it for a limited period of time and then it goes off, or it just runs as long as there's a perceived danger.
I think it needs to run as long as there's a perceived danger, because, you know, it stops, and then like me, I'm home, my kids, half of them are half awake back upstairs, and then it starts again, you're like,
Yeah.
going back down, so you're like, is this really happening, is it not, should we go upstairs, should we not? So I think it should run, honestly, until threat is over.
Yeah, and the warning, I guess, was supposed to end at or the watch was supposed to end at midnight, and they extended it to 4 and then changed it to 2. So we were trying to monitor that just in case, because that one was kind of a pop-up storm, per se, versus watching it move through the state from somewhere else. So it was a little bit different than we've seen in the past. But yeah, I need to find out why there's a 4-minute limit if we're setting it off. Again, we'll communicate with the vendor. They were pretty responsive to questions we had last time. I'm sure they'll be that way again. So.
I know there was a tornado near Madison. I thought maybe someone just missed it. Madison, Marion.
Oh, yeah, no.
But there was one.
That was
Yeah.
the one that came through.
That is the
over
one that
us.
did come through south of Emporia.
Yeah.
Something I wanted to stress too, there were a bunch of people calling saying that they didn't hear sirens. Well, those sirens aren't necessarily intended, I know it sounds redundant, but the sirens aren't necessarily intended for us to be able to hear them inside of our house with an air conditioner going. You might be in an interior room. They're more designed to tell you if you are outside to go seek shelter. That being said, we want to be able to hear them inside, because if you're sleeping, you want to be able to know. But we did get multiple complaints of people saying they didn't hear the siren or hear the siren. But there's multiple different reasons as to why that may not have happened. There might have been something in their house that was louder than what the siren was able to come into the home, something like that.
Probably was me snoring because I never heard a thing.
So I was able to hear it at our house, the one over by the hospital. So I was able to hear that one. But I know that there were a lot of people saying that they didn't hear it. But I just wanted to make that comment that they're not necessarily designed to be able to hear inside your home.
Brian, we just talked about this today, but if I misunderstood this, correct me. We have 4 on the new system that you don't come down here and push a button for, you activate that, and you have it, I think Aaron has it,
Dustin will have it,
and
and then
Steve probably.
Steven's
Devin
gonna
will
get
have
it, yeah.
So you activated it from there.
Yes.
That we have, how many, 3 of the old system?
We believed we had 3 working ones in the old system, and that requires you to come to City Hall or the
That's where I'm
police
going.
station. Yeah.
Those did not go off, so if somebody said, well, this never went off, didn't go off because it didn't get turned on, because the only way to, and that really, I think right now, we have that as a backup. You know, some computer glitch or something happens, we can't activate the new one, then we can come down manually and push the button or pull the switch or whatever it is to activate those old ones. So if someone is by one of the old ones and says it didn't go off, because it didn't get turned on, because at this point we didn't think we needed it. I'm gonna say this and I'll shut up about this. Brian and I looked today and overhead view of the city and where we have the 4 that we have, the new ones, and I think it'd be worth a discussion, might be a study session topic or something, of putting one around the old water tower, right in the heart of the town, because the others are all kind of around the perimeter. That would put you where if it rotates, it's gonna go out, you know, you're gonna be getting it from 2 directions that way.
I think another thing that this is part of my report, I'm just gonna keep going on this, if it's all right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. No, it's fine.
Yeah.
No, it's-
Aaron started it.
You did, yeah, I'm glad you did, so, but
I
I'll
was
just go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I
Yeah.
definitely agree with them going off if the emergency management recommended that we sound them off. If we're not gonna listen to what they say, then, you know, why have them? So, I mean,
Right.
if they recommended doing it, Again, I'd rather be safe than sorry if you people get mad because they got woke up rather than be woke up by a tornado ripping their roof off.
Yeah.
So
We
I'm good
appreciate
with-
the
I'm-
spotters
Yeah, for sure.
being out there, because it makes a difference when it's not picked up by anybody else.
Yep. So yeah, I was
But yeah.
definitely in agreement with them being sounded for sure.
We social media posted, we shared the information from the county. I answered questions last night, some more today. I asked people for addresses so we could gauge where maybe they weren't hearing it. According to the vendor, all 4 went off. We had some team members that live pretty close to them and said their socks came off when they went off, so they felt like that was pretty warm, but depends how far away you are. So I think the addition of a 5th one in Centertown might make a difference and be able to hear it. I'll get quotes from them and find out what that takes to do that. We're also considering, talking with the team today, right now it's on a whale where it'll go up and down, but since those rotate on the pole, it's a good chance that when it came around to your area, it was at a low spot.
Yeah.
So I think the old-fashioned way was one sound the whole time, and it spins. So it sounds like it does that. So I think we may investigate and request that we go back to the steady signal, and then as it goes around, you got a better chance of hearing it. There's no low spot versus a high spot.
Is there a difference when it's for a fire versus a tornado?
No, it's
just
one
it makes
signal.
noise, okay.
Yeah, it's one signal. So you might have to put your socks back on, but I think it's worth it if your life is safe, so.
For sure.
The old system, we did a test today, and we tried to test the old ones also from City Hall. And we had people at each siren, and those 5 were all quiet, so we're not sure why. When we test next week, weather permitting, on Monday, we're gonna try the switch from the police station instead to see if they go, and we'll test them again that way in case there's an issue. It's pretty much just a light switch on the wall. A little disheartened we didn't get any information, but we knew 2 of them were defunct. We hope the other 3 might go as the backup, as the mayor said, but we're gonna have to test them again next week to find out. So, that's what I had, unless there's other questions.
Probably just turn the old ones on when they use them, and once you check them every time. I don't think we have them.
It's been a while, yeah. So we'll have to, and that signal's been different, but it'll be the same if we switch to the steady one, which I think is probably, overall, in my opinion, I think is a better way to go, to make sure that's got a chance to penetrate walls. I mean, I know we had to turn our TV off and air conditioner down, it helped to hear it.
Last thing I'll say about this is, obviously, we do need to prioritize getting the community center open because it is a designated shelter, but I think the explanation is a logical one and nothing that needs any action or anything at this point in time.
Okay, yeah, as fast as it came and as close as the storm was, it's better maybe to not be in your car trying to get somewhere at that time too. If we get a little more warning like we had in the previous storm, then yeah, we'll definitely get down there and have it open. And that night we have 2 officers on duty, and that helped, so, yeah.
I mean, obviously, we don't want someone standing at the door and get swept away.
No, we don't want that either, of course.
Mr. Wheeler?
Just a couple things. We did conclude our free chlorine burnout today, so we switched back to our combined chloramines. Last Wednesday, we were able to do our primary basin clean out with help of everyone. So big shout out to Bryce Schultz and Landon Peterson. They were the volunteers that got down in the basin and drug the fire hoses around, but really wanted to thank those guys, and everyone else was involved, and it was good hands-on deck project that we knocked out relatively quick this year, since we removed some old equipment from years past last year, so that made it go a lot quicker and easier this year. Other than that, that's really about it. We'll be continuing to move the automatic hydrant flushers around continuously throughout the summer, and doing a few daily manually just here and there, so that's really all I have.
Anyone have questions? Miss Janet? Do you have anything else on your?
I do.
Okay.
We're starting to get information in from our insurance claims for the city for the buildings and the automobiles. We have not received, we've only received for the buildings, the airport so far, and, received a check for about $56,000. There are damages that we would like to address on those hangars, especially on the oldest hangar. We're getting quotes from companies that have a spray-on epoxy kind of thing that they can go on and spread across the roof. It would help take care of some of the gaps and holes that we need to take care of. In addition, those companies, well, the one I talked to is offering a 10 to 15-year warranty on that. So if there's a problem in between, they'll come take care of it. Also provides a layer of insulation to help with heat and cool. So we're gonna expect that. Our concern is, and we can check this out, but if we tried to re-roof, it's gonna cost a lot more than this will. And this will work. It will get a longer avenue out of it, I think, in the long run. So we're checking that out, and we'll bring when we get those quotes, we'll bring it back to you for discussion and decision. Unfortunately, we hoped the merry-go-round would be ready in time for Chingawassa Days. As we're working on that, we're finding that it's going to need a little more TLC than that. Being 100 years old, understandable. We want to do a little bit of work with the upper portions besides hanging on the pole, the thing that holds all the structure that goes around and turns, that holds the boards up, that makes it go. That needs to be done. We want to do a complete paint job on it as well, and we're going to replace the boards that you sit on as well as a part of that. I want to say I'm pretty confident we can be done by Labor Day, at least by Art in the Park at the latest, but sooner would be better, so we're going to push. As soon as we get...
You do realize Labor Day is in September, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
But we're relying on a vendor to help us get that pole back that has other bigger paying jobs than our 100-year-old merry-go-round, so they're helping us out of the generosity of their hearts, so I don't want to push them too hard, just enough. But if we get it back, once we get it back, we have a plan to move forward and get it worked on.
Remember, the squeaky merry-go-round gets the grease.
That's very true. So we have had one family that had memorial money left with the city, offered to donate about $1,500 to the cost of this program. The initial estimate from the vendor before we take it over and paint it and add boards and stuff was $2,500 or so. So if there's other people interested in contributing to that, contact City Hall, and that would be great. So
Do you know, are those folks willing to be recognized?
We'll find out. I talked to Megan about trying to get a plaque or something we can put on the pole or something,
Or even, yeah, I mean, that'd be fine too, but even just that we could name them, publicly.
Oh, yeah,
Thank
for
you.
sure. We would at least do that, send a thank you note. So, yeah, and so if there's others interested in that, reach City Hall and we'll help you with that.
Maybe I'm silly on this, but this thing is, I mean, it really is a piece of history. It's a piece, and Marion is very attuned to that park and maintaining that park, and I think we should be. It is kind of our crown jewel, if you will. I would like to the extent you can, for you to, if we could get that thing done so that it would be available before school starts, that would be wonderful for kids at least to have. But when you think you have a target date that will work, let us know.
I will.
I'm wondering if we shouldn't have some sort of a little celebration, maybe almost like a ribbon cutting, have some hot dogs and Kool-Aid or something, and invite kids to come start the second 100 years of it or something. I don't know, maybe that's stupid, but at least I'd like a chance to talk about it.
Well, yeah, Megan and I were discussing the ribbon cutting or some kind of reinitiation of the merry-go-round for sure. And the goal to get this back is to get it back right the first time and not have to take it back down and haul it away. So it needs to be safe, and we want to make sure the adjustments that they've noticed in the equipment over the time that we've had it needs a little more effort. So I think when we're done, everybody will be pleased, and it'll be, I won't say brand new, but as close as we can get it.
Right.
So,
Maybe the council can be the first people to use it.
yeah.
I will pass on that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we could have the oldest community members, but you're not quite there yet.
Okay, anyway. Last thing is, we have the open council member seat that we talked about last time. We have 2 in-hand applications that were completed by members of the public, and there's interest stated by a couple of others. We haven't received those yet, but we're accepting those applications through noon this Friday. Now June 5th. So if you have an interest, we have an application in City Hall. There's 3 questions asking you about your why you want to serve and what you would like to see accomplished and how you can help do that with your experience and background. And then we get your contact information as well. So got till noon Friday. Please stop in, pick that up. Doesn't take very long to complete it. And then we'll bring them to the council meeting on the 15th. We'll print them in the packet so that people have a way to see that beforehand, and let you all go from there.
I'm anticipating that we'll give each of the persons who are interested an opportunity to speak. If they want to, they can say whatever they want. And then I'm also anticipating that unless there's a curveball thrown of some sort or the other, that a person will be nominated next meeting. And then once they're nominated, it's up to the council to determine whether or not to actually confirm or deny the appointment. And assuming that one of the persons who applies is confirmed by the council, I would like to go immediately then into appointment of or election of a vice mayor. So you might kind of make the agenda kind of fit that, Brian, if you would.
You got it. We are asking that the candidates to turn in applications be present for the meeting on the 15th, which starts at 5 p.m.
Yep.
Okay. We have, to update you on our open personnel positions, we have 1 applicant for the Neighborhood Services Director so far. We're taking applications until the position's filled, but the first review will also be this Friday. We'll get that information out. And then we have 3, I think, for the court clerk / accounts receivable individual. So I'll be getting a hold of y'all to set some interview times up probably the week after. I think any vacations or anything the week after? For either of you? What's that?
I'm pretty busy in June right now.
Okay. Well, I think Amy and Kevin were gonna sit on that one.
I'll make it work.
You make it
Yeah,
work, okay.
just let me know.
All right, fair enough. We'll probably do them late in the afternoon to help accommodate the employee, the future potential employee that's coming. And then I'll form a group also to work on hiring the neighborhood services person. So, okay. That's what I've got for now.
Amy?
Have you heard anything about the building on Main Street? Is that 202?
202 East Main, yes.
Yeah.
Before James left last week, we both met with Rodney, the contractor, and he was getting the information, James was sending the information of the 3 businesses that were giving us proposals. And so I think he got the idea that something needs to happen sooner rather than later. He saw them, he went in the building, came back out fortunately, and he could see the change in the building. So with the rain we're having, I'll be watching it again tomorrow to see where we're at on the condition of it, because it has moved even again since we first brought it back to your attention earlier last month.
Yeah.
So I think he's got the idea that urgency is important, especially with the gas line in the ground and those kinds of things.
I recognize that that it's Kansas, so it's always windy. But with the wind lately, those parts of what's got it cordoned off are continue to blow over. You might PD and public utilities, tell those guys if they're going down, just stop and send
Yeah.
back up.
Generally, before I get in, I've seen them standing up, so I don't know if it was missed today or not, but generally, they're pretty good about catching it as they're driving off to do their.
Well, they were down, but I was driving around a lot today doing stuff. I think it was after lunch that I noticed
Okay.
it. And I'm not, it's still, they're still laying there and it's still obvious that it's cordoned off.
We'll address it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make sure.
That was the only thing.
Okay.
The only thing I have is just a positive. I really am pleased with the way that the area around the Marion sign at the intersection of 56 and Eisenhower is being maintained. That's something I griped a lot about last year. It looks good every time I go by now. And I think that, if you can't keep the weeds mowed from around your city sign, then what kind of city are you? So, Kevin?
What was the timeline on the bids we were gonna take for the Santa Fe? I know you said it had to be posted, but I had a person reach out to me on that. Because we said we were gonna do it on a sealed bid, correct?
Yes, we will do a sealed bid. It's gotta get announced and posted.
Okay,
If any luck, I can have it posted for next week's newspaper.
okay.
Is the goal. We are posting, speaking of posting, Wednesday's paper, we're posting the public meeting for the Planning Zoning Commission on the hospital zone for the 30th of June. And then I'll bring that to the meeting on the 6th, if there's results that they approve for your consideration, I'll bring it for discussion and then potentially vote. We have to do essentially 22 days notice, so,
Gotcha.
yeah. That'll be coming. There'll be another one after that. They moved their July meeting is moved to Wednesday versus the normal Tuesday to accommodate a public meeting for the country commercial property, which is the horse riding business that wants to go down on that side of town. So that'll be in process. They're gonna discuss it and hopefully recommend it, or whatever they do, or for changes. So as early as it could show up, it'd be July 6th for you all to see it.
Gotcha. And then where are we at on the water meters? How's that coming along?
I believe we're at 250 left.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there was a break in the action, which actually helped our folks upstairs get caught up with 800 and some work orders. And they were all manually read for the 1st of June bills, so we're curious to see how that impacts that for us moving forward. The vendor will be back. The vendor helped clear the field and level the ground over off of Washington. Is that right? Where the pole yard used to be. We moved for the solar they're coming in to put the solar field in. So we're looking forward to that getting done and getting the materials off of North Walnut there. And that silly, important but silly siren light thing that's been flashing at the neighbors for a while. So we appreciate their patience through this process. But the ground was leveled and it looks like they'll be getting back to water meters for too long. So.
Yeah, that project, I thought it would be done and working by now, from the way KPP talked when they started.
You're
Yeah.
speaking of the solar, not the meters.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you switched over to the solar.
I did, yeah,
Yeah.
solar, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it looked like it was gonna get started in March, but got started later.
Just an observation, not a
Yeah.
complaint.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
I don't have anything.
Okay. With that, then, we will go to item 10, which, Anita, you have become item 10, so if you'd come over to the table there, please. And this is Anita Seacat, maybe everyone knows her, and Anita, I think, wants to talk about the mobile food vendor ordinance that we passed 2 years ago. And all you gotta do is say your name and say whatever you wish to say.
Anita Seacat. Just to comment about your sirens, I heard them at my house, and I live on the other side of the lake.
Oh, wow.
close to 170th, so, in 77. So I heard him at 11:30 at night or whatever, so I heard him.
Apparently you weren't snoring like Gene was.
No, I was getting ready to come into town. But I have a snorer too, but I still heard him. Yeah, I'm here to ask questions about the ordinance, excuse me, that you have. I have been purchasing a $10 permit for the days that I come in, which is Mondays and Saturdays. Is right now, that's the only thing that I can do right now with a couple people that I've got helping me out. One being my husband, because he is a contractor and he is busy. But we've invested a nice chunk of money into this trailer, and I have a battery backup system that I have no idea how it works, so that's why he's there. But he's got it figured out, and he's doing that for us, so that's why he's there, and it's just a couple of days right now. But anyway, the ordinance, you know, we own the property at 616 East Main. We've had it for quite some time, and never, I mean, we had thought about doing some things with it, been approached several times by a particular person. That person doesn't live here, about selling that piece of property and actually turning it into a residential area, which we both were not in favor of doing that because of its location where it was at. But with that being said, we just never moved forward with anything that we really wanted to do. But until recently, then my dad kind of came up with this idea to do this mobile food service, vendor, whatever you want to call it. It's a mobile kitchen. It's a very full kitchen. I can do just about anything in it, and it has its own Ansel system. Which by the way is not required by the state. That I see something.
It has its own what system?
Ansel system. It can put out its own fire, like a grease fire.
Oh.
That is not required by the state, but some kitchens like that do have it. We kind of foresee that maybe happening down the road, but it's also a precautionary just for us as well, and others that are around us. We're the only ones on the property right now. We have a neighbor, the nutrition place on the other side of us. But anyway, so I have been paying my permits Monday and Saturdays, the $10. But I questioned, you know, the other person that has a mobile food trailer. I questioned, you know, why would we have to pay $10 a day or $100 for 6 months for us to do business on our own property? But then I was quickly told that they don't pay the $10 a day or the $100 for 6 months, but that my food trailer would be categorized with the snow cone food trailer, which is on the other side of Aunt B's, which I'm not quite sure why.
Just so that we don't get confused, because I thought you were starting to talk about the snow cone place, but you're talking about Josh and Allison Teichman's place.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But I understand there's also on 56, I think, is it 56 Cafe? Is that what we recognize it as now? That they cook out of their trailer as well, which, I mean, I questioned why would they be paying their $10 or $100 for every 6 months, but they don't pay that. So, I mean, according to the ordinance, they fall under that food trailer ordinance, but yet they're not paying it. I wouldn't fall under that they categorize me as like the snow cone place on the other side of Aunt B's, which I have a food license. I have a license to do what I'm doing as well as the other two, I'm sure. I mean, it's a mobile food unit, the other two. I just don't understand why, if they're not paying that license fee, then why do I have to?
Are you asking that
Yes,
question
yes,
now?
I'm sorry.
Okay. If other council members are okay, I'll give my response. I think, to me, the best comparison would be that one place, Josh and Allison's place. The other two, Bill and Essie's, you didn't mention Bill and Essie's, but I think they're in the same situation
Yeah,
as 56.
not them. I believe it's up on the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't that pretty much the same thing? They cook outside and then they serve from their building?
That's kind of the way I understood it, yeah, from the trailer and then, set down, yeah.
Well, and maybe because when I've been at the place out on 56, to me, it was kind of like the smoker that Bill and Essie's has out there.
Yeah.
When we did this, the idea was to put in place some rules with regard to mobile food units,
Sure.
food trailers. And I think the big difference between those others and you or Salisbury Sweets, that's what it's called.
Yeah,
Is
snowcone.
that you guys are serving from the trailer.
Yes.
And the others are cooking either in their smoker or in their trailer, and then it's going into an actual building, floors, restrooms, whatever, for actual service. They cook it outside, serve it inside. That's how I distinguish the two. Anyone else want to comment on that?
I was trying to see here, is there also some stipulations upon city residents?
County.
Yeah, it's
think
in
it was
your.
within the
I was just trying, I was going through trying to find
You
that.
got them?
I think we had it within like 11 miles, or was it County?
Six vendors.
Which everyone would fall
area.
under that, because everyone lives within the county. But I just couldn't find it.
Mobile food vendors have established
Oh,
permanent location.
Letter I.
Yeah. And that would apply to you.
Oh,
That's,
Section 2, item I, is that the one you're
yeah,
looking at?
that's what we were looking
Okay.
at, because you own that lot, so I
Yes.
would assume that she was established a permanent location, so she should have no limitation on days of operation.
Correct. Yeah. Otherwise, you'd be limited to 2 days a week. But if you got to the point you wanted to go 7 days a week, you can.
Because I own the property.
Yeah.
A permanent location is what
Yeah.
it says here, okay.
Yeah.
But
It's a little bit off, I was just pointing that out.
the cost for the mobile, it says the permit fee, the cost for the mobile food vendor, mobile food unit permit, and it goes into the cost. Myself and the others, that's the way their license states, they're mobile food units. That's where their license is, and that's what your permit is referring to. A mobile food vendor, mobile food unit, that's how you describe it.
Who are you, when you say the others, are you talking about Salisbury, or are you talking about the other two?
I don't think Salisbury has to have a food license,
Okay.
but like, I have to have a food license because I'm selling food. Teichman, he has to. I would assume, is their last name Jones, the downtown?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah,
Daryl and Megan Jones.
yeah. And then the one up on the highway, I assume that, because they're making food, they have to have a license as well. And they don't have a kitchen, that becomes a mobile food license that the state gives them.
Okay.
If they're cooking in the trailer, that's a mobile food license. That's how you get,
That's how the state may define it for that purpose. But we had discussions when we were doing this before as that distinguished between the Teichman one, which is located there, it's hooked to water, it's hooked to electricity and all that, and you may be there that way as well. But they also have a actual structure, bathrooms, floors, heating, cooling, electricity that they serve in. And that's what I think distinguished that one.
They serve two, because they cook it in the mobile unit and then set down in there.
Okay?
But that is not.
But when they give it to you, you're in the building.
Yes, well,
Yeah.
they serve it to you out of their trailer,
Out of their building.
out of their food trailer.
They
That's
cook
where
it
the,
at the food trailer,
that's
they
where the
take
food
it in the
comes from.
building, and
That's
they
where
give
their
it to you.
license is from, out of the food trailer
That's
to
the
that.
state's license, you're dealing with the city's ordinance.
Well, your city ordinance doesn't say anything about any kind of structure. So, I mean, that's why I ask.
Okay, that's a valid point, and if you're, I was telling Brian this today, we were talking about this. If you're looking at a statute and you're confused as to what this statute is trying to accomplish, one thing you can look at is the legislative history of the statute, the state statute. You know, what was said during the committee meetings and that sort of thing. And I think you can apply that same reasoning to this, because, and I would assume we all remember the discussions that were held here with regard to the building, whether or not, I mean, there was a big thing with whether you could call it brick and mortar or not, because it's really not bricks and stuff like that. So that's how I interpret it, Anita. Maybe we need to consider amending this, and frankly, that would be okay, because I understand your confusion, I understand your argument. I disagree with you because I know what my thought process was when I voted on it, but I'm gonna shut up now and let the rest of you guys talk, because maybe you see it differently. But I do think that the point she's making is something that maybe ought to be addressed. So it's, if that's what we want, if that is what we want, that we need to make it specific.
I understand your definition of the solicitor, canvassers, peddlers, food trucks. To me, what you're trying to address there is somebody that's coming from somewhere else and maybe setting up at, maybe they've asked somebody, or they've got a permanent location that they've paid for with somebody, maybe, I don't know. I understand that, because that happens all over, not just Marion, the city. I know this is new, and I know you have to have some kind of rules and guidance, some kind of regs to, get you through something that's coming through like that. I mean, I pay property taxes, I pay taxes on that trailer, it's tagged. I have a food license, I have to pay every year. That Ansel system, by the way, is not cheap. It will get checked every 6 months. I have to pay a lot of money to Pi Barker to come in and check that.
I thought I was gonna shut up, but I can't help it.
No, go ahead.
Part of it, I remember when we were having the discussion, part of it was that someone comes in a food truck, and, yeah, they pay sales tax, or they're supposed to. But other than that, you've got somebody over here who has a restaurant that's paying property taxes on the restaurant and that sort of thing, and that's not fair to them that this other person doesn't have to do anything. So that's part of the justification of having the permit fee, was that. I'm not trying to be mean to you, but do you pay property taxes on the lot? Is that what you meant when you said that?
And the trailer. I mean, it has to be tagged.
That tax, where is that taxed?
Marion County.
Marion County, not Marion City.
Well, that's where my property's at. So I
Well-
pay taxes to the city, to the county to live here, to
I-
have it here.
Yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with the city. We have to survive as well. The city
So
has to
my trailer, you're telling me my trailer is not enough for you to survive, that you're not gonna let me,
That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just explaining the basis for when you're comparing a actual business with a place located permanently on it versus someplace that is mobile. You're mobile, obviously, because you pull it in and out.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a mobile kitchen. I can actually take it somewhere else and on-site cater instead of making it somewhere else and taking it somewhere else. And a lot of times those caterers are right here in Marion County. Several of them, matter of fact. So you have people coming from out of town. I've done several of them right there in Elgin, in the Elgin. And matter of fact, when that was done, that was actually my dad doing that from 90 miles away and coming to this city and doing that. So somebody dropped some kind of money, sales tax, by going into the Elgin. It's 120 people, the last one that I did. I understand the rules and regs, that some kind of rules and regs need to be made for somebody coming, you know, from somewhere else. I mean, you'll have several of them in the park this coming weekend. And clearly that's been addressed, that they will not have to pay that. I've been asked, because that Chingawassa committee needs a place for parking to go into the park, but can we use the property? And I said, well, sure, you know. I'm part of this community as well. Whether you like the way I get to pay my taxes or not.
My point is, you say I'm paying this tax. If you're paying this tax to the county and not paying it to the city, then it's not too relevant to the conversation. That's that part of it's what
Well, and we're saying that, you're saying the trailer tax goes to the county, the property tax stuff, that's coming to the city.
Yeah.
So there's two taxes.
For the vacant lot.
For the vacant lot.
Yeah.
Just clarifying.
Yeah.
And I have hooked up to electricity, so I do have an electricity bill. And it comes and goes. Some days I would like to, you know, do more. I mean, clearly I could take a generator and then not have that at all, paying that. But there's a pull there, and we're a part of this community. Excuse me, we have been for about it'll be about 28 years now. But to me, that, what you're talking about, the structure and having to sit down for them to eat, that structure not being there, I understand what you're saying, but what you're talking about, that structure is not, it's not indicated, it is not talked about here as part of that regulation or the ordinance, excuse me, the ordinance that you have.
Oh, you're right. Totally agree with you.
I think your situation might be a little bit different, because like Mike said, I think we did look at all of that, you know, when we were putting that in, and I think you are correct, it was probably done more for people coming in from out of town. So like I said, your situation was something that we probably didn't foresee, that, like I said, you own a lot and you pay electricity there, whether you use it or not, there's a base charge every month of some sort. So, you know, I think your situation might be a little bit different, and maybe that's what Mike said, maybe we might have to relook at that and possibly see about doing an amendment or something like that, because like I said, I don't think when we did this, we probably was thinking somebody else that owned a lot in town that's gonna have a food truck. Like I said, I kind of see both sides. I mean, yeah, yours is mobile because you pull it in and out, but you do also own the lot and pay taxes and stuff on that. So I mean, it might be something we need to look like. So it's
Here's what I wrote
just a
down.
little bit different.
I just wrote down. Question, should we tweak the food truck ordinance to define who does and who doesn't have to get a permit? Because I think that's very broad, but that really is what we're talking about here. If she was rolling in from Emporia, and doing the exact same thing she's doing, then I don't think there's any argument at all.
If I was moving it, like when I go other places, like my first event was downtown Kansas City, I had to pay. It was almost $300. But that was part of it, because I had to pay their fee. I had to be, you know, they had to come in and check my license. They had to come in and do their inspection as well. Missouri did, because that was in a different state. So yes, I do understand that.
And I think that was another reason that we did, because there was quite a bit of discussion when we first did that, is and again, it's maybe somebody from coming out of town, that we wanted to make sure that they did have a license with the state
Absolutely.
and that they weren't, you know,
Yeah.
at least, you know,
Insured
so that
and-
they weren't just rolling in and being able to hook up and serve food out of there and then.
Right,
So, like I said, I think looking at your deal is a little bit, I guess maybe I'll call it kind of unique. Like I said, I don't think that we probably foresaw someone coming in with a food truck that owns property, you know, that owns the lot that you're sitting on all the time. So,
I would think even if we made, and I'm not committing myself into anything other than I'm perfectly willing to have the discussion and consider maybe some changes. But I would think we'd still want to require a permit. Maybe it's a one-time, an annual fee of $20 or something. But you'd still want to have them have to get the city permit and match the, to make, so our people can make sure that all those other things are being done.
right.
I'm just curious then, with that being said, do you check the others then too? Would you make them, you know, have the same?
By the others, who do you mean?
The other food trailers that are here in town?
I think there's only 2 food trailers in town. I mean, that, right now, which is you and Salisbury's. Now,
Salisbury's not a food trailer.
well, I get your point, and I'm sure that there's a distinction from the state, is what you're saying, right?
Well, do they sell food out of
Yes,
their
they do.
trailer?
It's actually consumable.
It's consumable.
It is,
Yeah.
because he fell under it before. I'm sure it's a different one, but it is.
Well, you got me
consumable.
there.
So,
Wasn't
But I
trying to
mean,
get you,
right.
Anita.
I'm not trying to,
No, you're right. I mean, you're right. It is consumable.
But I think what you're saying is that they fall under a different category or whatever for state licensing. Am I right about that? If that's what you're saying?
I would assume they don't have to, the licensing is not as stringent as what I have to go through.
Yeah.
And I am subject, by the way, just so you can all feel better, especially you, because I kind of feel a little pushback from you. I have to, by the state, by any time that I move that trailer, anytime, they can come in at any time and check me, anytime.
You're totally misunderstanding where I'm coming from.
I might be, but that's just where I'm coming from. I don't want to be pointed out by any means, because I feel like I'm in the same, the same situation as Teichmann's, as what's on 56. They own their property as well. The difference is, they may not be moving that specific trailer, either one of them.
I don't think either one of them, what Josh has a food truck, it's 2, I guess, but one is there pretty much permanently, and that's what he cooks out of. That's how I see that different than a food truck that would move in and off and on the lines.
Because mine would move and his doesn't?
His is there with a building that is utilized for serving the food.
It's still categorized as a mobile unit, though. That's how you're licensed.
And that's not, he is licensed as a mobile unit when he takes his other one, or maybe takes both of them and goes out of town. We have not categorized him that way because his is there being served out of that building. That's the distinction that I have.
Well, mine moves, but that's where I serve from all the time. When I come back, I don't take it somewhere else and serve somewhere else. It serves right there off of my property.
Right. It's, you served out the window, so it's you're serving. Mobile food unit or unit means any self-contained vehicle, trailer, cart, or other type of conveyance from which food and/or beverage is offered for sale.
Yes,
You're a mobile food unit.
yes.
Okay. Anita, I think, don't snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, because you've heard us say here that we're willing to consider this and reconsider this, whether we want to tweak it or not. I'm not sure why we're still talking.
I don't know.
I think because you got mad at me.
No, I just told you that I felt like there's a little bit of pushback. I understand where Kevin Burkholder just came from with being at a different, situation, which the situation is the same. I'm a mobile food trailer, but I move. Do I have a sit-down area? I do not. But that's not defined in this ordinance either. Now, whether you come up with a permit licensing, I understand that for the city, that's what you want to do. As long as we're doing that for everybody, not just me because I move my trailer.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Next item on the agenda would be the, say, Marion Historical Board, Museum rather, minutes. I'm not sure, why is that on the agenda?
Well, it's an effort to be transparent with the other boards that operate within the city's jurisdiction. I put it in the consent agenda last time, and we didn't want it there, so I moved it here, just as printed. It's nothing to be, I mean, it's just for review and public information, so if there's
Why don't you just give it to us?
well, I can, but it's gotta be somewhere on here because we publish it with the packet, so I'm in a lack of finding a better way to call it something else, but I'm open to suggestions. So, I thought about today as I was walking down the steps here, I could probably just put in there other reports, and then, they can be included. The whole idea is trying to improve our communication and cooperation with these other boards, which seems like it was maybe a good idea based on feedback I got from the other boards. So I'm just trying to make sure that their information is out to the public and it's also available to you all, so you know what they're doing. So.
I like the idea. I mean, if, because we get from zoning appeals and we get other
Yes.
things. I just don't know that it has to be reflected in the agenda.
I'm used to seeing them under consent in other places, so that's one reason I had it there last time. I mean, but certainly I want to do it however you want to do it. If you
So-
just want them attached in there and I don't make a reference on the agenda, I can do that, but then it's an item that has no reference on the agenda. So I was just trying to find a simple way to make sure the public can see it.
It doesn't matter to me as long as it's there somewhere. I understand
Okay.
what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
But I think the consent agenda would probably be fine.
Which is where you had it last time, you said.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more appropriate on the consent agenda than it is on the regular agenda, because we're just not gonna do anything with it.
Yeah, it's just there
But you're
for,
voting on the consent agenda. Do you really need to vote on their board minutes?
No. Thank you, Janet, we thought we had this figured out.
Sorry.
that's why it got moved last time, this time. So,
So just leave it on the regular agenda and just make it a point of information and read it and be done.
yeah.
How about that?
It's just an acknowledgement that it
Or
is
just
available.
include it in
That
the
it happened.
packet without,
I can, I just,
Well, I mean, that would be my thought, is just include in the packet, but
Okay.
I think I'm hearing you say that you think there's some value in those other boards, knowing that we're getting their stuff, is that?
right, if you have a passion for the museum and you want to see that museum board report, you may not know it's in the packet because it wasn't labeled on the agenda. I don't want to kill a dead horse twice, but yeah, I just feel like just for transparency reasons, which we're all trying to achieve, it's got to have some kind of mention. So it's just a mention. That's why it says
What'd you call it?
as printed. So there's nothing to talk about. It's just as printed. It's in the
I
agenda.
said just make it like a point of information and read it and be done.
Yeah.
You know, Brian, why don't you do that? Put it like, somewhere up toward the top, up above when we start actually approving things. And just, it can be, noted that, point of information, whatever minutes you have included in the packet
Okay.
this time.
So would you like that to be number 3 from
I
now
think
on?
I'd like be number 3.
Number 3, okay. New number 3. Other committee minutes, other,
Board
yeah.
minutes.
Other what?
Board or committee.
Other board.
Boards and committees, yeah.
Okay. You would have had a planning one this time, but we missed getting a signature from the planning committee chair, so I couldn't sign it myself and put it on there, so we'll have it next time.
Okay.
Very good.
Next up, with library announcement, you wanna?
Yeah, the library is, board has informed us that they have hired, now I gotta find it here. Carol Lau, yep, there it is their new librarian, and she's going to replace our outgoing librarian, Janet Marler, who served the library for many years. And that was their information coming back for publication, that the hire has happened.
Have they said anything to you, the library board, about what, if anything, they would like to do to acknowledge the decades of service of Janet Marlowe?
I haven't heard anything specific. I am going to their meeting, is it this week, Wednesday night? I'm going to attend that meeting, so I will inquire about that. It's one of the things on my.
Would you ask, because I think if they aren't, then we need to. It is city library, and she is,
Yeah,
I think technically a city employee.
she is, yes.
Considered a
She's a
city.
benefited employee, yeah.
And we can't let her walk out the door without appropriate acknowledgement of all the stuff she's done.
I would like to tell you, based on my fuzzy memory at the moment, that there is something, but I don't know what the details are. So another reason I said I would go to their meeting.
Okay.
I'll also be attending the Historical Museum board meeting as well, next time they have one, so, yeah.
Now, you said that they did hire. Did they hire, or they're waiting for approval to hire her permits? Sorry to be
That's
picky
there's
here,
a sticky
No.
wicket.
technically, I believe that's,
Based on advice of our legal counsel, approval by this council is not required.
okay,
Yeah, it's
that's
weird.
fine. I just, the way it was written, I thought that
Yeah.
was what it was saying, but
It has something to do with the state statutes on I
That's
quit
fine. I
reading
just
at
was
one point when he said, you
getting
don't get involved.
clarification.
Yeah, so that's, I'd be glad to forward you that email if you'd like to read
No, I'm good.
it.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it
Get our
surprised,
money's
it
worth.
surprised me too. It
Yeah.
just seemed logical that a city employee, that the council would, stamp of approval, but, I mean, here's the thing. The last time it was done was 50 years ago.
I was gonna say, hasn't been done for 30 years.
Yeah, that's a low turnover rate.
Yeah, it is.
That's
So I
a
want to make sure
goal.
we got the right one.
Yes,
You know?
exactly.
Get it right.
Do you know how many years has she been there?
It's upwards to 50.
But she
That's
wasn't
pretty
the
close.
actual librarian, I mean, she wasn't the boss for that whole
Right.
time.
Not the whole time, no.
Yeah.
She did work into that position, but as a
Long, long
employee of the
time.
library, it's close to 50.
Wow.
You know, it's like asking age. I just really didn't want to go there. But, but I'll let the library board
You just
reveal
say,
that
when
for
did you
Yep.
graduate from high school?
Yeah. So anyway, so we're happy that they made that decision.
Yes. Congratulations to Carol.
Janet.
Well, congratulations,
Carol,
Janet, for
both of
leaving,
them.
and Carol for
Carol and
starting.
That's 2 times Janet spoke up tonight.
I know.
Setting some kind of a record here.
Disposition of city property, Brian.
Yes, with the arrival of the new bucket truck last week, we now have the 2 vehicles we propose to liquidate from the fleet. The 1999 International High Ranger truck and the 2007 Ford F-550 bucket truck. Recommendation from the electric department and myself is that we take those vehicles to the Purple Wave auction and use the proceeds, to be determined later what that amount will be, as a principal payment and some or all, as you see fit, to the loan of the new truck. So, with your permission, we would move forward to get those on the action site, which I guess I didn't have this down as action, but.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, it is action, yes, yeah, okay, because we've talked about it several times, so
Yes.
I did put, okay, it is action, so. That's the proposal, is to liquidate those vehicles, and then we'll divvy the assets up as they come in later, with your permission.
Do you put any type of reserve on there if all of a sudden it goes just silly cheap?
99, we will put a reserve on.
You will? Okay.
Yeah.
What, do you know what the reserve's gonna be?
It's gonna be 20.
20,000?
Yeah.
And then what about the other one?
Nah, but we're going to.
Okay.
They're thinking it's only gonna go for maybe 7 to 9.
Gotcha, okay. I was just curious, like I said, in case all of a sudden you had nobody bidding. Hate to let it go for $1,000 or something like that. Thank you.
That sparked a memory. We were talking about insurance claims in the airport, but I forgot to talk about the vehicles. We received several checks to do repairs on vehicles owned by the city. We also received, or will receive, 2 checks for the disposition of the administrator's car and the Impala police vehicle. They are totaling both of those and offering us the option to keep at a lesser rate those vehicles and just move to liability-only insurance. We're more than willing to do that with the Impala, with your permission. It's reached its useful life, and the settlement, I don't have all the numbers, it just came today, but I'll get those for you for the next meeting. But just so you know, it's coming, and then we'll talk about the disposition administrator's car. Thoughts are, might be worth keeping it. It's only got 67,000 miles on it. We don't really have a budget to replace it. And I think they're offering about 9 to us if we let them take it and try to recover, or it's about $3,000 difference. We keep it and could apply the money to some repairs or no repairs and use it elsewhere. So. That takes care of vehicles.
You, with regard, you got this on for action, so I take it you're asking for council, which I think is appropriate, permission to sell the 2 vehicles on Purple Way.
Correct.
I move that we approve the sale of these 2 items on Purple Wave with the proceeds potentially going towards paying towards the loan of the new bucket
Principal,
truck,
yeah.
pending the amounts received.
Right.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it unanimous.
Thank you.
Text my gov.
The mayor has quizzed me a couple times on talking to vendors that we can do more technology with and ways to reach our citizens here in Marion. This organization, TextMyGov, reached out to me, and so I sat through their detailed seminar on what they have to offer in this. It is a text-only feature. It's not an app, so it's good for folks that maybe have older phones or don't want to deal with apps, but it's a text message feature. They can use 2-way communication. We can send information out. We can, as you look through the packet here, there's different ways to do that. If we had an outage, electrical outage, we could send a notice out to the phones located within that outage and notify them there's a power outage that we're working on it, our estimated time for repair. This is technically a non-storm urgency one, like you sign up elsewhere to get storm information. This could be used for everyday business and activities of the city. The 2-way function is that if folks have questions about building permits, dog licenses, those things, they could text in. We can, with the vendor, build a database of answers that will then go back to them, helping us kind of be open 24 hours. If folks don't want to go on the internet, but they want to sit there and text the city on, and report a pothole or a water leak or any of those number of things, those things will get funneled into the right individual within the city to address the situation. So if, like say, it's a water leak, they would text that would get picked up on by their system, and then it would be directed to the appropriate 24-hour personnel to to address it. So if they don't wanna call, or they can't call, or, you know, whatever it is, they just wanna text it in, they can do that. We have a record of who called, at least, in that kind of item, but we could do a follow-up that way if we need to.
On the back of page 4, says marketing flyer from our client. I take it this is something they would provide us that we could, you know, distribute in the utility bills or
We
whatever.
could put it in utility bill, we could put it in our social media efforts, we can just have it hanging on the bulletin board when people come in, like we do some other things here at the city. Just a way for them to get started to participate in that program. We double checked, and the information is not sold or given away by anybody. We have sole ownership of that, they house it on their system, but we have the say of what gets done with it. So we would treat it just like we do phone numbers for utility billing, et cetera. We do not share those, we do not sell those, and we would not, without board approval if there was a change sometime in the future, but.
So the one word thing that they talk about here, I see, I take it this is, one's 2 words, but stray dog, that, they can literally just text that in and then our system funnels it to.
Yeah, we'll go to the PD, and then the PD could respond to them and get information about, obviously, where the dog was seen, because without that, we don't know where to go. So, but yeah, there would be some.
My only question with it, could it potentially open it up to overwhelm people?
Might reduce our phone calls.
That's true, I mean.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's obvious, but if it's a water break or a main break on that, yes. If it's dog licensing, we answer those pretty regularly. But if you're new to the community, it's a great way to reach out. Most people know if they've got a dog, they know when to come in, but it's another way for us after hours to be able to provide information to folks that we can't do when we're not in here answering the phone. So,
Are
could it?
there, I think maybe I know this, but pothole, what was the other thing, dog license or whatever. Is there a glossary of, okay, here are the things that you can ask about, or if I decide, you know, crime, I want to report crime, I just send in the word crime.
Yeah.
Except any word I use to try to.
Yeah, we would, the system will try to match it to the closest response we have pre-filled for it.
Okay.
So if you want to report a crime, we'll say, suggest you call 911, or if it's not an emergency, not the non-emergency number for the police department could be provided for that. If it's electrical outage, you know, we might write back and say, hey, that's great, you have power outage, can you give us your address, or, you know, where you saw that power outage so we can get more information? Or we have the number at that point, personnel could just call back and ask for the help too. But at least gives us an opportunity to, people have been heard, they acknowledge the fact that they reported it, and then we'll move on from there. So I like the idea that there's canned responses, so it'll put our thinking caps on and try to come up with as many different things as we can. I'm sure since they do this with other municipalities, we can say, what are the most common questions, and so we can start formulating answers for those.
I just didn't know how it's gonna be handled, like if someone's calling saying, hey, I don't know why my water bill's so high. If they're gonna utilize this, or if that will still funnel them to the right.
It will funnel them to the utility clerk.
Okay.
So the goal is it'll match them up with an email in the city. It'll send those to the right people, building permit, event, those kinds of things. And then there's a catch-all that catches anything it can't figure out or is not clear, and it'll go into a generic email tied to this system that we'll probably take turns just watching and checking it for answers.
If we had this and it was in place last night,
Mm-hmm.
you would have, I assume, or if you tell me, would you have utilized it last night?
In addition to Facebook, absolutely, because not everybody does that. So I'm guessing we're gonna have a higher contact list with this. And I like the fact that it goes straight to phones, because it's better than going to an email. Because we could send out a constant contact kind of email or MailChimp or whatever, but doesn't mean they're gonna see it. Most people, their phones aren't too far away. You know, it's our clock, it's our alarm clock, it's, you know, we don't have landlines, we don't sleep next to the landline anymore, we sleep next to your phone probably. But it would help us get it out.
Do we have,
What's a landline?
do we have is there an annual cost to what we're currently using? When we send out messages or calls saying that the city's doing something?
Is that the red, what is it?
Red.
Code red,
Code red.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but I don't know what it is right off the top of my head.
but so we would drop that service and take this one on?
No.
Or we'd
No.
have both?
We would, I prefer to have the code red one for the emergencies,
Oh,
because
that's
that
more- that's more
information
based on
comes,
just emergencies.
yeah, it may not necessarily come from us, it comes from the agency that wants to issue the warning. If the National Weather Service wants to issue that warning, it's faster than if they issue it to me.
That's not code red.
Oh, it's not?
Code red is something different.
Oh,
It's a
Code-
text
my
apologies.
messages plan that we have.
Okay,
Yeah, because I didn't think that was tied to any
Scratch
other
that,
provider
sorry.
Tied to that.
service for
Okay.
that, so. Then back to my question, could this then replace Code Red and so we're not paying for two things?
I'm assuming
Potentially.
it's the
It could.
same,
Yeah.
same thing.
yeah, it could, yeah.
So I mean, look, the cost of that too. Like,
Yeah,
addressing the cost of this.
I'll need to do a little more research on that. I know I signed up for it, and I may not have understood what it is compared to other places I've lived, so I'll double check it.
Yeah.
Is there gonna be like a time frame? So say somebody calls to, or I mean texts, I'm sorry, to request something, then is there gonna be like a specific time frame that you guys have to respond back? Or somebody, one of the departments has to respond back by?
We can determine what that
curious.
should be, by the second business day. I mean, because someone's on vacation or someone's, you know, there could be a message that goes back. That's why there would be, if we know someone's gone, we can look and see online the responses that need to be addressed to do that, so they don't fall in a crack in the hole somewhere and we don't get it addressed. Now, if it's going to 24-hour street, water, electric, sewer, that kind of thing, then that's gonna go direct to whoever's got the phone at that time, and they'll get those text messages and see them. So then that's gonna get us more of an urgent response. If it's about a dog license, it can probably wait till Monday. But we've also got that ability to send out the basic information on that text that says, yeah, this is what it costs, and this is how you obtain it. You come in office hours, we can put the office hours on there, and then they'll know when they can come by and get a dog license.
It said in that initial letter that you had in the packet that it includes many agencies and many throughout Kansas. I wonder if you could ask them, like if there's some other towns or something
I can
comparable to
get-
our size
yeah.
using it, then
We
we
can
could
get some
follow up with that
references.
town and ask them if it's working worth a hoot or if it's,
Absolutely.
if they have a lot of problems with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we need, part of our, if you're interested in this, then we'll make the effort to get that information.
I think it's worth looking into, because like I said, I don't do Facebook, so a text would be something that'd be beneficial to me, and I'm assuming I'm not the only one that doesn't do Facebook in town, but
You are not.
maybe I am.
No, you're not.
According to my kids, I think I am, but.
I think you've got the answer. I think we're interested in that.
Sounds like we'll pursue it. Okay, you saw what the fees are. They're willing to waive that for the first 6 months. So it could go on next year's budget. It could start sooner because of that. I'd kind of like to get through a couple other projects before we take on another thing to have to answer a lot of questions at a
Sure,
time.
yeah.
Because there's some little planning and thought process needs to go in that. It's going to involve several of us. So I'd like to get the meter thing done. I'd like to definitely get the merry-go-round done, you know, before we
Well,
move
if you
into
also
this.
hire on the other
Yeah,
position.
the other person.
It could help address.
Right, yeah,
Set
and
up
having
the
our
business
positions filled obviously is more important at this point in my picture, so. But it's something we can work towards if, you know, I'll do some feedback, find out what people think, and we'll, look ahead.
That completes the agenda other than the motion to adjourn, but don't make
No,
one.
wait, you got 11.5, FEMA employee ID
Oh,
card?
yes.
Oh, yeah, we do.
We skipped that.
Rolled right
Sorry,
by
we
that.
blew
Well,
it.
Aaron's still
Times,
saying-
Kevin.
Yeah, no kidding, this is a record. Boy, you better put that down.
Yes, I forgot, the chief has, I got on the wrong note here.
I was gonna wait till the end of my guys. So, this is given this job, there's still things that I'm learning. There's things that's, partially my responsibility and still figuring those out. But one of those is going to be, city employees getting FEMA ID cards. So what kind of reminded me about this was a couple weeks ago when we had the possibility of severe storms, and then last night. So without these ID cards, it would be hard for city employees that live outside of town. If some kind of disaster happened and there had to be, the town was blocked off by, let's say, KHP, so Highway Patrol, they would be scanning these cards. And I know we have a few department heads that live outside of town and a few employees that live outside of town. They wouldn't be able to get inside of town to come to work and help with cleanup process without these FEMA cards. And all it is, it's a photo ID. It says your name, rank, wherever you, what department you work for, and then there's a barcode. On that barcode, it gives all of your certifications and whatnot, and then says what department you're with, whether it be water, street and alley, electric. The police department already has these, but I never thought that, it never dawned on me that the city employees should have these as well. So I was told that I need to get it approved by you guys. If you guys want us to do these, we can. It's an application process. Each city employee would just have to fill this out, and then I would then give to Marcy with emergency management, and we would go forward with the cards. The only thing that I see maybe being an issue is, do you want to have expiration dates on these? The reason I ask that is, there might be a position that is high turnover rate. Do you want, because I think Tim Makovic has one, and his doesn't have an expiration date, so Tim doesn't have to get a new one unless we want to get him one. But I don't want to single anybody out, but like an employee that may be here for a short time to get their feet wet and then go on to a different type of work or better opportunities. Do we want to put expiration dates on these cards, or do we want to just make it to where these individuals, if they leave, we need to make sure that we get the card back from them?
The purpose of the card is so that the officer of whatever department or whatever, to someone trying to get into an area that's been restricted, knows that, okay, this person works for the electric delivery system, electrical, that makes it, and let them in.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they have no expiration dates on them, it kind of defeats that purpose, because that guy could have worked here 10 years ago and just hung on to his card, and
Sure.
this officer out on the highway is letting them in.
I'm not sure why there's not an expiration date on. All the ones that I've had have expiration dates, so I'm not completely sure why that one does. And I'm just saying, like, I've seen his, so his is still valid, but it doesn't cost anything to get him a new one. It would just need to take a photo of every single employee that you guys would want to have one to get that through Marcy.
But even if they didn't have an expiration date, wouldn't you be able to remove them? I mean, like, let's say it's Tim, for instance, and he has one that doesn't expire and he retires. Couldn't you reach out to them and say, hey, Tim Makovic's card is no longer valid? I mean, they've got to have a database in there with that.
I think Marcy would be able to do that.
To remove it.
But but yes, so it would be in their database, but the officer out there who's deciding after an emergency whether to let you in or not, probably not gonna have access. He might have access to it if he wants to go back to his car and radio in and blah, 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 but
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know how all that stuff works. I just know that in the event of a disaster, hopefully it doesn't ever happen, but in the event of a disaster, if an employee doesn't have that card, they cannot come into town.
And you said it's no cost?
Yeah, no, it's an application process through the emergency management.
Gotcha.
And then she will print us off ID cards. If there is a cost, I was not told. I was told that I was not told of a cost.
Gotcha.
I've never heard in the past of there being a cost. If there is, it's going to be the cost of the plastic card that the stuff's printed on.
Gotcha.
But I don't know.
one of the things before I retired from the court system that we were working on was this kind of stuff, and a plan for what you do if something hits the building and all the records go away. And so where I'm going with that is that we would need to include, because if we need to include like administration. It's not just the people that need to get the water up and running again. We also need the people that are gonna, keep the ship afloat. And, you know, we got Janet driving in from out of town every day. So I like the idea. I just think it ought to have an expiration date on it.
Yeah, that, I don't disagree with that. Like I said, all the ones that I've had expiration dates.
Have they been a year, 2 years, 5 years? What have they been?
Mine, it was a handful of years. I don't know how many years. It's hanging in my car, but I don't know the exact length of expiration on mine.
I mean, 'cause the day after he leaves office, we want Burkholder's full.
Or that same day.
Perfect.
Maybe the same day. Yeah, I agree with that. See, you move right here and suddenly you're. So,
Yeah, I don't see any problem with that. I think having an expiration date's smart. I like a couple years, is my opinion on that.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's kind of a no-brainer.
it would probably be, Brian, part of the hiring process when you bring in a new person that, you know, they get that done along with other things. And I don't think I've talked to you about this, but I really would like to talk to you about doing exit interviews for people who quit or they get fired, they probably won't participate in the exit interview, but.
Yeah, sometimes they do.
People who retire or whatever,
Yeah.
but that could be, turn in your keys, turn in your badge.
We just did that. Yeah, we have a form. I have a form, but I think it's similar to Janet's form. I didn't know she had a form. I just did one real quick because I wanted to make sure we went through and got the computer, got the phone, got the credit card, all those things. And this would be another item on the list. It'd be real simple to have it on there. We just take it at a time. Don't get your last check if you don't present the remaining items that are due to us. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Tim, make a motion. I don't know that we do, but to get
will,
us
but-
off the schneid, I thought maybe you would make one.
I move that we move forward with approving FEMA cards for all those city employees who have responsibilities and duties that would be applicable in an emergency, and there'd be an expiration date on them.
Could we, I would suggest perhaps a graduated scale. Department heads could be 5 years.
That's why I left that part
Yeah,
blank.
supervisors could be 3 years, and then, that's kind of where we'll go, if that's all right.
Yeah.
And then maybe folks that have been here
So I
just got.
don't know how, not to interrupt you, but I
Oh,
don't
that's fine.
know, there's no, so, I don't know how your guys are gonna want, because there's an application that they have to fill out, so I don't know if you want them to come to City Hall, and then I can gather them all when we're done and get them to Marcy, but there is, so you would just need to keep track of department heads, because there's an issue date and an expiration date at the bottom of the application.
Oh, okay.
If they don't have a guideline for it now, we'll set one.
Yeah, I think it's
That's
gonna be
fine.
set by whatever we choose.
Okay. So that was my idea, the graduated scale, because the folks that are in those roles are probably here longer than others, and no sense to go through and reinvent the wheel every year. Okay.
Makes sense.
Totally with that.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Mm.
Did I get a second on that?
I just seconded,
You
yeah.
seconded it?
Yeah.
White seconded, Smith,
What?
I know it anyway.
Okay.
Smith seconded. All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Ayes have it unanimously.
Thank you. We'll get it done.
Did we have to do anything with the
Thanks,
fireworks
Aaron.
licenses?
We did it as part of the.
Did we?
consent
Okay,
agenda.
okay.
Yeah,
I
they
didn't know we
it
had to do
next
something
couple weeks.
separate.
With that we just did, I don't know if fire department's gonna also be one.
Well, so I think fire department, I'll check with Andre, but I'm pretty sure fire department already has it. But the problem is, I don't know, I'll have to check with Marcy. I don't know if being that it's a volunteer fire department, if it's going to fall under, if it's not the chief, I don't know. But I'll do some checking.
Okay.
Because if that's the case, there's a number of employees that might not even need to do this because they're already on the fire department.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There was something I was gonna ask about before, when I thought we were ready to end. Now I can't remember what it was. Oh, I know what it is, Brian. I think that there is a a valid question was raised about both the definition of food truck, and I think the definition is pretty clear, but I accept that there is some wiggle room, and the intent of the ordinance. And I think that is, despite the fact that she didn't like me, I acknowledge that she brought up a valid issue, and I think we should discuss it.
Yeah, I think that it's where the brick and mortar, there's a permanent structure there with the way we've interpreted it, my understanding is, what James, his interpretation was, if it moves, it's mobile. And where the Titeman's food trailer at their restaurant site does not move, it has hooked to sewer, it's hooked to water, it's hooked to electric. It does not move. They have one that they do move. Well, if they were to use that elsewhere in town, they wouldn't have two locations some Saturday. It's not one of the special events, then I would say they would pay the charge or the fee because it's mobile. So that's how it's been interpreted. The restaurants that have fixed structures, the three that we named earlier, are not mobile. The Snow Cone folks and then Ms. Seacat, it is mobile because it leaves.
But I still think,
It could, yeah.
I think she raised enough points that we ought to have a council discussion on it.
That's fine. We can do that.
I would
So,
agree.
if we ever get to have another study session that isn't budget, or I guess we could put it on just a regular meeting agenda, whatever. But
That's fine.
let's not forget about it.
No, that's fine. No, she brought some valid points,
Yeah.
and there ought to be, try to remove all doubt if at all possible. I know there's always a little different circumstance, but
We
it's
thought we
fine.
did that last time.
Of course,
Well,
yeah.
that's why some of the cities were like 32 pages long. He said, we're gonna try to make this so that it's easy to
Simple,
read and
right.
simple, not 32 pages long, but.
And,
Yeah.
yeah, as a matter of fact, as it went, it got shorter, which is unusual. But
That's fine. We can, we'll seek out some of those longer ones and see if they address that topic. And we'll bring it back.
Perfect.
is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.